Opening disclaimers: I am a fully legal registered medical patient in the state of Virginia. Two, everything that we're about to talk about is from my viewpoint. And three, just to get this out of the way, I'm sorry for skanking out today. I've been working hard on these photos and videos these past couple days, and today I've been sweating profusely. So sorry about that. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Stoney Shamans Corner. I am the Dreaming Turtle, and I will be your guide today. Today we are gonna have that very long, awkward conversation about race. As we talked in the pilot video about the medicine wheel, I want to kind of use that as a launching point to get to where we're at, and this is gonna be a video hard for me to make, but like I said, this is a long, awkward conversation, but it's a conversation that we need to have, in my personal opinion. As a nation and as a planet and a species, we really need to work this stuff out. So let me address the title of this video before we even get started. It's okay to be a racist, but the but on there is extremely important. So I'm just going to lay that out before we even begin. What I mean by that is that a lot of people don't mean to be racist, if that makes sense. A lot of people didn't choose to have these racist or xenophobic feelings, and so it's okay if you have those feelings and those emotions, but the line is when you cross those feelings into attacking another person verbally or attacking another person's rights and right to be. You know what I'm saying? I just want to make that clear from the start, where the line is between being a racist not by choice and being an active racist, using your racism as a justification of attacking a group of people. So let's get that out of the way. And also, I do want to say that although I am going to be touching on racism and xenophobia in general, we are mainly going to focus on black and white here in the United States. And I want to say this because I understand 100%, as like I said, we'll touch on, that racism is definitely not black and white. It's definitely not limited to pale skinned people and African American dark skinned people. It extends to every race, ethnicity around the world. And I understand that and why that is, which is what we're going to touch on. But for the sake of healing in the United States, I think because the white and black issue has been so prevalent since the founding of this country, the only form of racism that has been as bad as that has been the genocide of native peoples. And That's definitely not something that should be ignored, nor is any racism in any form in the United States or the planet. But there's only so much time in this video, and this is probably going to be a very long video as is. So let's, yeah, let's talk. But of course, as always, I'm the Stoney Shaman, baby, so we need something special. I'm extremely nervous about doing this video. It's, like I said, this is just going to be a long, awkward video. So I figured we needed something special. So I got these king palms in the these magic mint king palms in that elevated stash box. I'll zoom in real quick just to show you. So starting out, we're going to try one of these. We're going to go ahead and try one of these. Like I said, we need something special for this video. And this is pretty special. I've already pre-packed it and everything. We got some diesel cookies up in this son of a bitch, yo. We got some diesel cookies up in there. See? It's already packed full. And this is going to be my first buzz of the day too, by the way. But I think it says on the back of here something about squeezing the filter to activate the mint. So let's try that real quick. Oh, there we go. I heard the pop. I actually heard the pop. So let's get this started, baby. Let's get this bitch started. Let's do it. Whoa. That actually does taste magically mint. Whoa, that is a very powerful mint right there. I thought that this was going to be like more of a menthol. This is very much a strong, like, spearmint. It's good, though. It's really good. Oh, yeah, that is fucking good. So, so let's just go ahead and get started while we smoke, baby, because why not? So the first thing that, we've got to do is we got to, we talked before about looking to your past to see the future. And that's what we're doing right now, because we got to go back at least to what we know about the early days of mankind. So what we do know, at least, is that we all come from the same common ancestors somewhere in Africa, right? So eventually mankind, tribes spread out of Africa. We eventually spread across the globe over thousands and thousands of years. We survived through an ice age. And, the reason that this part of the history is important because we were separated, We were separated from each other. The tribes that we may have known in Africa before we left Africa was long forgotten. Maybe some of it survived through mythology, but you know how mythology went before the Mesopotamians, or at least we think the Mesopotamians invented the alphabet, But before there was an alphabet, and history was taught orally generation to generation, which is where, how mythology became so fantastical. Because when you're teaching oral history like that, you kind of like embellish it a little bit, It gets embellished, and not for bad reason, really. It's just these stories become embellished. Oh, not for bad reason, really, or anything. It's just that these stories become embellished because it makes the listener more drawn into the story. That's, just how storytelling works. You got to draw people into the story. So, you know, the point is the memories of these other people from these other tribes become long gone. We don't know anything about other people in the world, and then we're separated even further by the Ice Age. Our understanding right now is that most Anglo Europeans were trapped in the mountains during the Ice Age, like completely separated from everything. And some people, us white people, lost our pigmentation altogether, pretty much. And other groups of people in other places lost some of their pigmentation and not all of it. And then other groups of people didn't lose any pigmentation at all, dependent on, where their civilization was during the Ice Age. But again, this is important because we're separated. We don't know about these other groups of people, and then our skins start to become different colors. We speak different languages. We develop different cultures. We have different customs and different traditions. So, in a way, xenophobia is a natural response because it's not really it's not really so much a hatred of other people but a fear of the unknown. And that's something that strikes at just about everybody's heart. There's always something unknown. Everybody's got their fears, if you know what I'm saying. So xenophobia became a natural progression in mankind because here's one group of people facing another group of people that they didn't know existed. And again, we've got different people with different shades of skin, different languages, different cultures, yada, yada, yada. And one group ends up fearing the worst about the other. Maybe both groups fear the same things about the other group because it's unknown, especially when you have to see when you're seeing each other from a distance. And then as groups of people start mending closer together again and begin warring for territories, this gets drawn out even further. So I'm going to try to start getting I'm going to try to start going to recent times through here, but I have to set that out because you know we were split apart, and then we started coming back together up to the fifth. Well, I guess it was the 16th or the 17th century that uh, Anglo Europe, Anglo Europe, and Spain and parts of the world first started learning about the Americas for the first time, and so even though xenophobia comes from a perfectly natural place, it's a plague on mankind. It really is, because you know there is no one stereotype that is true about an entire group of people just because they have a certain skin color or speak a certain language or even customs. You know, there are going to be individuals in a group that have a different way of doing things, even when there's customs widespread. I mean, I think the majority of Americans today probably celebrate Christmas, but there's also white Anglo European Americans that don't celebrate Christmas. So, again, you know, I'm just saying that's a really bad example, but there is no one stereotype that really fits the entire mold, if that makes sense. And even though it's natural, we have to understand that it's something that comes from a place of fear. And fear will dominate you if you don't keep it in check. You know, that is one thing that has been a constant for human beings is, like they say in the Star Wars, fear leads to anger, anger leads to the dark side or whatever, It's the truth. It really is. And and sometimes we encounter a group or tribe, whatever, of people that are different, and we have these fears, and then we happen to encounter one or two and have a bad experience from that, and then label the entire group out of your bad experience with those individuals. So racism, xenophobia become extremely complicated and extremely woven into our brains as a species. And, again, this is something that we have to work through and something that we have to unlearn. It's, it's okay if you experience those feelings, but we ask you to work on that because, you know, fear will tear you down. Fear will tear you down. And they tear down the people around us too. And so, we get to Europeans come back into Africa and fairly, well, Europeans coming there that are fairly civilized see the coasts of Africa. I want to be careful how I say that because not all of Africa, even at that time, was uncivilized or, there was huge kingdoms deep in Africa that, most people don't even talk about when we're talking about Africa because, Africa is an extremely complicated place. And, but Europeans came there and they saw tribes who would kidnap members of other tribes or buy members of other tribes. There was slavery there, and the Europeans were definitely no strangers to slavery. Slavery was already a practice that was thousands and thousands of years old. It's hard to tell when the practice of slavery actually started because, it's been here all throughout written history. The Egyptians had it, the Mesopotamians had it, it's it's been there. So we start buying and kidnapping people from Africa, and well, I guess taking them into Europe first, but then, as we conquest and take over the Americas, we bring that practice here. And again, this was not limited to people coming from Africa either, because natives were famously kept as slaves, and they invented, slave trade centers in Haiti to keep Native Americans that they took slaves, and then used it in turn to also keep African uh, bought slaves. And as I don't really need to sit here and sing the evils of slavery, because at least I hope that we all understand that slavery was and is a great evil on the world. If anything in the world is evil, slavery is definitely it. Slavery is definitely that fucking evil. No doubt about it. It and it's also important, just as a side note, to remember too that slavery is not over. Um, Human trafficking, in particular, human trafficking is probably the worst in the United States anyway right now. Even though it's illegal, it still happens at a major level. But also the for-profit prison system is basically a modern form of slavery. A lot of those inmates get paid for their work, but they're getting paid pennies on the dollar. When I was in prison, granted these were just house jobs, but the best jobs paid like maybe 50 cents an hour. There was like no way to make a living in there. If you were lucky, you made enough to get a couple packs of cigarettes every couple weeks. But again, that's another wave and another ocean, really. But the important thing is that I'm not gonna say that this belief and practice is necessarily limited to white, Anglo European, Caucasian, whatever people, but there was and still is a large mindset that they were or are whatever a superior race, or superior to dark skinned people and people of color. And this is, again, something that has been taught. You could really argue that a lot of it goes at least all the way back to Rome. Uh, you know, there's always been, seemingly, and has always been a group of people that, believe themselves to be superior among other people. And that notion is clearly wrong. But, I think that it's important to mention that in this conversation, because that mentality, even though a lot of people today who carry the torch of that mentality don't, on the surface, believe that they have that mentality. And it's because it's been something that's been ingrained in the culture for, again, thousands of years. In America's case, we'll be a little bit nicer about it and say hundreds of years, but it's definitely been there since not the founding of this country, but the seize of this country, the takeover of this country and the slaughtering of its native people. That was a driving force in the slaughtering of the people that were already fucking here. But, fuck. I'm trying not to be too forceful in my viewpoint here. I apologize if it comes across that way. I feel really strongly about it, and but I want to make it clear that I'm not trying to push rural white people that come from this mentality away. I want you to come in and talk, not necessarily to me. I would like you to hear me out, but we've got to talk as a people and cultures, because we're not going to get through it if we don't talk about it and face it. And I think that there's a lot of people on, well, my side of the issue, but that don't understand how ingrained the racism culture is in people's mindsets. It's part of the culture that they've been brought in. I'll give you an example. My mother, when used to tell me a story about how when she was growing up, she would go to I think her aunt's house in in Danville, Virginia, and they had a black maid, and mom loved her to death. She was like mom's best friend, and mom was just a little girl at the time. So mom told me that she could never understand why she had to go eat at not just another table. She had to go eat in another room. She could never eat with the family, and the reason for that was because of the color of her skin. But mom told me this story, and as a thing of just seeing things through naive eyes. If you're with me, I apologize if this is hard to follow, but we grow up. When somebody grows up seeing these things, and they think that this is normal because that's what they grow up seeing, and if it's not corrected elsewhere, then they're going to grow up believing that that is perfectly fucking normal. And so if you grew up thinking that that was normal, it's okay. Take a deep breath. Just don't lash out at other people and work on yourself. Again, using my mom as an example, and I almost hesitate to say this because, but I mean, it is what it is. But my mom confided in me one time that she didn't trust Hispanic people. And what happened was that I don't even know what we were talking about. I think we were talking about immigration or something like that. And, she said something that was really suspect, and I called her out on it. And, I put it to her on just as, I think it was something to do with the fact of, just imagine living on nothing and being lucky to get a loaf of bread every couple of weeks to feed a family of 4, and then having an opportunity to, or having a couple choices of waiting to get to America and being bled dry from green card processing and credit card fees and all of that, not to mention having to wait years to get approved, and then also have to learn like the complete fucking history of the first 4 seasons, and or, you know, do you risk it all to try to get your family across the fucking Rio Grande, you know, to feed your family? And mom stopped and she thought about it, and that's when, she confided in me that, uh, she had a few prejudices in, herself and everything. And she just said, but I'm glad that I raised you better than that. And, it was a really touching moment for me because, she understood right there, and that's what I want people to do, I remember hearing a story. I don't remember the name of the reporter or the Klansman in this story, but it was a reporter. It was a black reporter and a grand wizard in the Klan. And the reporter was given access to the grand wizard and allowed him in on rallies and all of this stuff. And what ended up happening over years was that they developed a friendship, and not just to talk about race and, what this grand wizard believed and all of that stuff, but to joke around and laugh, to the point that this guy was on his deathbed and confided that after knowing that reporter, he regretted everything that he stood for in the Klan. And that's how hearts and minds are healed. We have to come back together as a society. We promised in the end of the Civil War, 40 acres and a mule. But we got to do better than that. We have to share. We have to live together. We have to work together. If, we have to stop labeling groups for actions of individuals. And yes, that can go with the police too. Sometimes good cops get a bad name because of a few asshole cops. And the same thing is true with black men, Chinese men, white men, native men, and, Hispanic men, and women too. For, this goes for everybody. Individuals are individuals, and the DNA that's in our blood, the place that we come from, is all the same. So all of those petty differences is only because we've been pushed apart for so fucking long. We've been pushed apart for so fucking long, and we have to come back together. And we have to unlearn the prejudices and feeling culture of superiority and hatred. We have to stomp that. I believe that everything in life is about balance. That's where we are at the medicine wheel. If you've never seen, you've seen the medicine wheel physically in the intro video for this. But basically, the medicine wheel is a circle, and then you've got a plus sign going through the middle. Those are the spokes. Those are the negative and positive polarities of everything in life. And you're not going to recognize good things in your life if you don't experience the bad. You're not going to appreciate the good things in life if you don't struggle to get there, if that makes sense. Negativity has a tendency in our lives to want to dominate because it can feel so bad when bad things happen. And when bad things happen, sometimes we start to forget about the good. You know, I'll give you one example. The obviously a very prevalent example right now, because the year 2020 is been, I don't think any of us are going to say anything different, that 2020 has been shit. But 2020 has also been extremely good for the cannabis movement. And I am warmed to my heart to see that. And, that is also extremely good for tackling systemic injustice, which we've got to talk about that too. So there's always something good within the bad, but sometimes the bad is just so bad that we've got to go out of our way to find the good, And dealing with racism is the same way. If you think that an entire group of people is naturally dirty or unclean or unfit or what the fuck ever, I'm sorry if I'm about to go off, but just stop and ask yourself, are you being reasonable about that? Because there, again, no entire group is going to fit any stereotype. It's always individuals. It's always individuals. We are literally the same. And so we've got to talk together. We've got to talk calmly. And obviously, you just saw me being a little bit guilty of this myself, that, we got to keep our voices down. Talking is not enough. We have to listen. We need to listen and try to feel each other's pain and express a little bit of empathy, because as a pale white whatever American, ethnically I'm kind of a mutt, but I won't go off on that right now. But as a pale skinned white American, I can't understand the black experience. I'm going to try to understand the black experience as best as I can, because I want to understand it enough, because I love my black friends and family. I care about them. I want them to enjoy good things in their life. I want them to, I want all the same things that I want for any of my other friends. Again, we're all one, and they're not even really black friends. They're just friends, and that's the society that we have to work for. And to be fair, every generation has gotten better. At least it has for a while now. It's been, definitely a long, slow fight, particularly since the end of, or I should say, the ratification, because when slavery was abolished, it wasn't completely abolished. It was the way that the amendment was worded allowed indentured servitude of anybody convicted of a crime. Therefore, you could trump up charges on somebody, send them to prison, and still get free labor out of them, even though technically slavery had been abolished. And not all states freed their slaves right away. It took a while. And then even at that, then Reconstruction of the South was halted, and because of terrorism by the Ku Klux Klan. And then Black Wall Street was destroyed. Uh, the Jim Crow era, I don't think I have to, you know, I don't think I have to really explain the Jim Crow era to anybody and how horribly fucked up that and the whole segregation thing was. But, one of the best things to ever happen to this country was ending segregation because, the Ku Klux Klan used to have pretty easy recruitment, because they could go into, now it would have to be almost exclusively like rural areas where, there's still a lot of people that are secluded, but they would say, well, you see that black kid over there, you know what he wants to do to your sister, and you know what he wants to do to your mother. And, that was how the Ku Klux Klan recruited young people. And, they still try to pull a lot of those tactics now. And, there was a time that was easy because the white kids are kept separate from the black kids. They don't really get to interact. And because of that, it's easy to play on that xenophobic fear in the person. When we ended segregation, that didn't work so well anymore because they say, what, Daryl? The fuck are you talking about? We're about to go throw some football, or whatever, But it's a lot harder to do because the white kids know the black kids, we grew up together. I was a part of that, and I am extremely happy that I grew up a part of that society because I couldn't imagine having to grow up in a world where, I'm not allowed to hang out with other kids based solely on the color of their skin or their country of origin, nationality, whatever, It's just, something that I would hope all of us would sit here now and think, man, that had to be terrible, Because it was fucking terrible. It was despicable. And, over in Africa, that shit was enforced at gunpoint until what? Like 1991 or something like that, apartheid was a plague in Africa for, a lot longer than segregation and the Jim Crow shit was here. But, we are starting to work those prejudices, those pre-programmed prejudices that we have out of society. We are slowly beginning to breed that out of the culture. And, there's a lot of people hanging on real tight, trying to keep it around. And, speaking directly to those of you that are, I don't hate you, but I think that you're wrong, and I ask you to work on it, and I ask you to come to the table and work with the rest of us. You don't have to work with me. There's plenty of people that will be willing to sit down and have that conversation with you if, you choose to do it. It doesn't have to be me. This is a big world, talk to each other, try to listen to each other, try to understand where your neighbors are coming from, and more than your neighbors, go across town and meet somebody from the complete opposite end of town, a place that you normally never go, meet some new people, You know, now we got the internet. We could talk with people all over the world. I mean, but yeah, you get my point. We're able to talk to each other from around the world, baby. We around the world. And hopefully I don't like lose my entire train of thought after we do this, but where the hell did it go, man? Oh, that's right, I moved it over there. Shit. But let's have a dab, baby. Let's do a dab. This motherfucker just feels like a straight up rock. Is that a rock, man? Am I just smoking some rocks? I shouldn't say that, because, fuck that. I don't do rocks. This is either exactly what we need at this point in the video, or a bad decision at this point in the video. I guess we'll figure it out, baby. We'll figure it out. Let's heat it up. I'm gonna get hot, hot, hot. I'm gonna need my carb cap here. A little bit myrrh. Little bit myrrh. There we go. That's good enough. Cheers. Oh shit. Oh, baby. So, we talk about systemic injustice, we have to understand what that means. What that means is the system that institutes and enforces racist policies. System policies allowing police officers to murder people and get away with it because, the system thinks, or I should say, the people overhearing these crimes believe that, oh, well, just look at him, or, he might have done drugs at one point or something, so it's okay to kill a man for sleeping in the back of his car. Or a system that would send somebody based largely off the color of their skin to longer years in prison over non-violent crimes, particularly around cannabis and other things, whereas the same white people that are being convicted of these things are getting less than half of the time. And yeah, I don't think that that's as bad as it used to be necessarily, but it's a very slow progress. And I know a lot of people will say that doesn't exist, that it's not really based on the color of their skin. But go back and watch some of these videos, and I know it's really hard to watch a lot of those videos. Nobody wants to watch another fucking man being killed, and if you do, then you really ought to see a fucking therapist about that. It's one thing in horror and movies, fiction, things, no good person is gonna want to watch another man literally die, but those videos tell a big story. I understand most of white America denied that shit, even though they were being told that was happening for years, decades. Through the 50s and 60s, that shit was standard, and up into the 70s, it became a little less acceptable, but it still happened with alarming frequency. And, all up through the 80s and the 90s after the crime bill, and now it's, you know, having cameras everywhere is a very big blessing because we're seeing these things. I think a lot of white America's eyes were opened with Rodney King. And then, what happened? They got off scot free, and then another black person gets caught being murdered or beaten half to death on video. They're clearly restrained. I know people like to say, oh, well, you didn't see what happened beforehand. But what I am seeing is somebody pinned to the ground, restrained and cuffed, and then officers coming around and beating them in their head or, beating them with a stick. Shit like that is unfucking acceptable at any fucking angle, No matter what happened before that, that shit is not fucking acceptable, I understand, officers might get in the heat of something. Okay, I understand that. But you took an oath when you took that badge to protect and fucking serve. You took that oath to protect and serve. And it is your responsibility to show restraint and to protect and serve the community. That is your job, not to bully anybody around or to carry out in some precincts. I know this isn't every precinct and everything, but white supremacist group fundamental assaults through your department and crooked officers and, no. When we talk about defund the police, this is, we don't want to eliminate the police department. That is a gross myth that's put on the term. Now, some people's idea of defunding the police is a lot different than mine, but I definitely think that there's a lot of reforms that need to be made. And speaking for, excuse me for smoking here, but everyday life of officers, I think that we're already asking too much. Police officers around the country are expected to be not only a police officer, but a medic and a counselor and, maybe even a personal chef. I don't know. But, I know that police are burdened with a lot of responsibilities. And so taking some of that weight off of the police department to work together with other agencies, should be a workable solution. And now I understand sometimes you kind of get into a little bit of bureaucracy when that happens, but, we need to make sure that agencies are able to communicate to each other because, we've got to have a police department, but we have to get out prejudices in how we treat citizens, and any action or force that is made within our justice system and through officers out on the streets, anything that we can show to happen solely out of prejudice, like those situations, needs to be eliminated immediately. We have to stomp that shit out. And as we talked about, that is where this all started was slavery, because we branched out slavery through the prison system. We were, slave drivers are already accustomed to being able to beat people of color, to slap them around, to insult them, to do whatever the fuck they want and get free labor out of them at the same fucking time. This carried on to the prison system after abolishing slavery. Eventually, that amendment was sort of repealed. It was rewritten so you could no longer pay an inmate, or you could no longer force an inmate to work basically without compensation. But the compensation to this very day, again, is, it's pennies on the dollar. And sometimes it's less than that. I remember on Stanton CC, they were paying the trustees who swept the floors and everything in the mornings, like 10 cents an hour. 10 cents an hour. 10 cents an hour. Imagine that, working for 10 cents an hour. And some of these prisons are, just straight up business fronts now. We literally have prison systems out there now that are just straight up businesses. And that is insane. When we let the prison systems become business again, we let slavery become business again. That is where, our biggest problem right now is, aside from a lot of these fringe groups that are lashing out. And I really feel like I should probably do a whole nother episode about these false leaders. I'm sorry if I'm about to name somebody that you support. Again, this is my viewpoint, but people like Donald Trump, people like Joel Osteen, people like Billy Graham, people like Jerry Falwell Jr. And the weird thing is to be mentioning Trump in the same instance as those guys, because Trump only became a religious leader when he was conning the country, and conning the taxpayers. And all the Joel Osteens, the prosperity preachers, all of those fucking guys are the Jerry Falwell and political preachers, and all of them, they are fucking false leaders. Don't get sucked into their cult, please. I'm not saying that to tell you what to think. I'm saying that because I care. I don't want to see people be used by these different con men, for their own political gains or monetary gains. Definitely in the case of Joel Osteen and Donald Trump, Well, and Falwell too, they think that they're kings. Understand that. They think that they're kings, and they're not. But I'm getting way, way, way off a fucking track here. But it tied in. That's where I got distracted because I was talking about white nationalism, and make no mistake, these fucking people are not who they say they are. It's white supremacy reborn. They want to start a war, and that's the thing. And I know I've gotten way off a track in this video, but I'm thinking about it right now, and so I'm fucking gonna just straight up say it, that it obviously ties into the subject. So at all cost, the one thing we cannot and never, ever, ever, ever let them have is their petty little fucking race war. They can take their fucking race war and shove it so far up their fucking asses that they choke on it and die instantly. Fuck them. You know, we are one, no matter where we came from in the midpoints of our ancestries. You know, we all go back to that same fucking thing, man. We're all fucking one. You know, it doesn't. Yeah. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm about to just go the fuck off. And I apologize because that is definitely not where I'm trying to go with this video. You know, I want to have a calm conversation, but, you know, that's the but. That's the but, I guess. You know, that's the place where we can never go because we can't. We can't. People will die. People will get hurt needlessly and over something fucking so stupid and based out of fear, anger, and hatred. And I'd like to hope that that's not the world any of us want. So says the Stoney Shaman. But I hope that you feel me because the place that I'm coming from, you know, do understand that the place I'm coming from is a place of love. Because, as Bob Marley said to Ziggy, money can't buy you life, you know, and that's literally all we have in this life is our life, you know. And I know that sounds cliche and everything, but, you know, it's the truth. It's life. It's literally all we have. Hopefully there's a fun place afterwards, but in the meantime, this life is literally all we have. And so, you know, I would hope that we all want it to be a better world for the children that we leave behind. Me, I'm mostly racist against like NASCAR and like Indy 500 and shit like that. I mean, not like the white people, just like the racing stuff, you know. I'm racist against races. And I think that that's something else that is important to keep in mind too, that sometimes, you know, we have to talk about the pain and, you know, we have to listen to each other's pain, but we also have to remember to stop and breathe and have a laugh, tell a joke. You know, laughter is fucking important. Laughter is important, baby. Laughter is gravy, baby. I think in summary, what I really want to say, just to make it extremely short, it's okay to be a racist, but please do talk to people and, you know, just let yourself grow. And it's not okay to use those prejudices in an attack on a person or people. And it's not okay to use those prejudices to strip away rights and oppress other people. In other words, respect your neighbor. Love your neighbor, you know. If you're not ready yet, you don't have to talk to them, you know. Just please listen and, you know, give each other a chance. Give each other a chance. That's all we ask. Just give each other a chance. So, in celebration of that love, baby, let's take a little bit of humble pie. And this is, well, it's humble pie. And we got a little bit of keef sprinkled up on the top from the diesel cookies that we smoked earlier, baby. Did I even tell you that was diesel cookies in the King Palm? I don't know. And the Shadow Skywalker OG So we smoking all kind of shit today, baby. Yeah, that's gravy. Oh, cheers. God damn, Richard Betty. Ooh. Oh, 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 yeah. That was a nice rip, man. Shit. Holy fuck. And I'm a glutton for punishment, man. So, like, we're gonna do that again. Cheers. Cheers. Oh my God, by you. That's all gravy, baby. Oh, shit. So I might wait till next month before we do another Stoney Shamans Corner video. I don't know yet, but we've got some more stuff to come. I've got both things from Hippie Butler is on the way, and the Roadie 3 actually might be here tomorrow. So I might crack open a Roadie 3 and just go ahead and open that tomorrow. I definitely got to get a shower first because I am stank, baby. I am stank. And then after all of that, it'll probably be almost Christmas. So I'm definitely going to do more Stoney Shaman's Corner because there's a lot of stuff that I really want to talk about. And, honestly, a lot of this stuff is I just feel like I need to vent about it. But if I can reach somebody and just, make one person think a little bit differently than they were thinking before and gets them to just think a little bit harder, even if they don't necessarily agree with me, then that's a win win. And, I just want to keep more things like unboxing and silly and smoke sesh videos and shit like that. I want to keep that as a dominant thing to this channel because honestly, a lot of these discussions take a lot out of me. Just, I don't know. I guess it's an emotional thing. It's so important to, I think, balance things out with a little bit more of the laughing and joking and, just living, because the serious things in our lives become so heavy that, I guess it's more dense. It's got a higher density than the fun things in life, if that makes any sense at all. That I'm probably the only one that understands that, but I don't know. I said what I said. But I also, also do want to now, I know we done pretty much ended that discussion and shit, but I do want to add on that just to, make it clear, like I don't hate cops either, as a generalized thing because, I just want to be clear about that. I've got a lot of trauma and things dealing with police, but luckily, I've also got experience with some pretty cool police too, and, I've known and well, I mean, I still talk a little bit to a few people that either work as cops or, are ex cops, but It's just that there's, there's so much trauma from it, but, I'm not going to stereotype an entire police career, whatever you want to call it, trade, whatever, but, the same as I'm not going to try to stereotype a race of people, as police serve an important function of our society. And, it sucks that the corruption and everything is there, but it is there. And we have to address it so that, so that the good cops can just get out there and do their fucking jobs. And I'm gonna just stop it right there because, we to the end of the video. I can't be getting that serious again. I can't be getting that serious again. You've only got a few moments left with me. Well, for this video, you've only got a few moments with me left for this video. And so thank you all once again for tuning in. If you like this, comment, subscribe, and until the next one, stay stony, baby. Stay stony. Love you.